Tonight we get you the latest that is happening between Russia and Ukraine. Remember, even as Donald Trump and European leaders gather in Turkiye for the NATO summit, a massive assault by the Russian army has left Kyiv and its neighboring cities damaged and civilians killed. Would more aid help Ukraine, or would this all-out war never have a permanent ceasefire? We're decoding this tonight for you. On GRAVITAS, we have been tracking the ongoing protests in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir as well. Locals are angry with Asim Munir and Shehbaz Sharif-led administration, and now they're asking India for help. We're getting you more on this up ahead. And this has now become an annual experience for Mumbaikars. The monsoon has disrupted normal life, with transport, rail and schools impacted. Details in just a bit. Well, we begin with the latest developments from the Russia-Ukraine war. Hours ahead of the NATO summit in Turkiye on Tuesday this week, an all-out war has once again erupted between Russia and Ukraine after Russia launched a major wave of missile and drone attacks targeting Kyiv and several other regions. In response, Ukraine struck an oil terminal in Russia's Baltic Sea port of Vyotsk and a refinery in the Kaluga region. Now, according to Ukrainian officials, the overnight assault by the Russian army is among the most significant attacks in recent days, coming just days after another deadly bombardment of the Ukrainian capital. The toll has been rising, but authorities say that at least 11 people have been killed so far, while more than 60 others have been injured, including children. Emergency crews continue rescue operations amid fears that more people may still be trapped beneath the rubble. Dramatic visuals show the extent of damage in Ukraine. The attacks struck residential neighborhoods, apartment buildings and civilian infrastructure across Kyiv. Images from the city show collapsed buildings, burnt-out vehicles, shattered windows, and firefighters battling large blazes as rescue workers searched through the debris. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 68 missiles and 351 drones during the attack. The country's air defense systems intercepted a large number of the incoming drones and cruise missiles. However, officials acknowledged that several advanced ballistic and hypersonic missiles penetrated Ukrainian defenses, causing extensive destruction in the capital. However, officials also acknowledged that several advanced ballistic and hypersonic missiles did penetrate Ukrainian defenses. Now, the latest strikes also follow another devastating Russian attack on Kyiv just days ago. Remember, the earlier bombardment killed around 30 people, making it one of the deadliest attacks on the Ukrainian capital this year. Thousands of residents sought shelter in underground metro stations as hundreds of drones and dozens of missiles struck multiple parts of the city. Ukrainian officials have warned that Russia appears to be increasing both the scale and the frequency of its long-range attacks. While Russia's defense ministry says the strikes were aimed at military facilities, airfields and energy infrastructure, Ukraine says that civilian neighborhoods were once again bearing the brunt of the attacks, and they accused Moscow of deliberately targeting populated areas. President Volodymyr Zelensky described the latest assault as another act of terror against civilians. In a statement following the attacks, Zelensky urged Ukraine's Western partners to strengthen the country's air defense capabilities. He said, and I quote him, "It is extremely important for the world, first and foremost America and our European partners, to emerge from the NATO summit in Ankara with strong decisions to support our air defense. As long as missiles for Patriots remain in the warehouses of allies, it only encourages Russia to continue. The United States and Europe have enough power to stop this terror." Now, here's why this latest violence is significant. It comes at a particularly significant diplomatic moment. Leaders are beginning to gather in Ankara for the big NATO summit, where Ukraine's security and future military assistance are expected to dominate the discussions. Zelensky has repeatedly called on allies attending the summit to make strong decisions in support of Ukraine's defense, arguing that sustained military assistance remains essential as Russia intensifies its aerial campaign. After the attacks, EU Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen said, and I quote her, "Ukraine urgently needs more air defense. We will discuss it this week in Ankara at the NATO summit. We are working hard to seal the deal on the 21st sanctions package in the next days." Now, military analysts say that Moscow has increasingly relied on combined attacks involving large numbers of drones launched alongside cruise and ballistic missiles. The tactic is designed to overwhelm Ukrainian air defenses, forcing defenders to engage multiple threats simultaneously and increasing the likelihood that some missiles reach their intended targets. Despite the shortage, Ukraine has continued its own long-range drone campaign inside Russia. Remember, in the recent days, Ukrainian drones have struck oil terminals, fuel infrastructure, and logistics facilities, including targets linked to Russia's military supply network. These operations intended to disrupt Russia's logistics and reduce its capacity to sustain military operations along the front line. And remember, they have succeeded to some extent. Reports suggest that Russian citizens have been forced to stand in long queues at gas stations, leading to frustration and, in some cases, even fist fights. Meanwhile, fighting on the ground continues across the eastern Ukraine, particularly in the Donetsk region, where Russian forces are pressing offensives around the strategically important towns. Heavy combat is also continuing near the front lines, even as both countries expand the use of drones, precision missiles, and long-range strikes far from the battlefield. Amid this, the humanitarian impact of this deadly war continues to grow. Rescue workers remain on site across the affected areas of Kyiv, searching damaged buildings for survivors. Medical teams are treating dozens of injured civilians, while local authorities continue clearing debris and restoring electricity and essential services where possible. With no breakthrough in the peace negotiations and both sides continuing long-range strikes, the conflict is once again an all-out war. With no let-up for now, Ukraine continues to reinforce its air defenses, while Russia presses ahead with large-scale aerial attacks, underscoring that nearly 4.5 years into this full-scale war, there is still no immediate sign of easing. Despite a brutal crackdown by Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir's forces, protests in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir are raging, with Pakistani administration choking the supply of food, fuel and medicines to POK. Locals have now appealed to India for assistance. Thousands of supporters of civil society group Joint Awami Action Committee, or the JAAC, have been on a sit-in at Rawalakort's Eidgah ground since the 9th of June. The protests were originally ignited by a ban on the JAAC, which put forth 38 demands, including the abolition of 12 seats in the so-called Legislative Assembly, which are dominated by Pakistanis. Urged by the official response, many protesters have also called for freedom from Pakistan's illegal occupation. Addressing a charged-up crowd at the Eidgah ground, JAAC leader Aman Khan called on India to provide food and medicines to the residents of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Accusing Pakistan of curtailing essential supplies, he's also warned that the protesters could consider marching toward the line of control if Munir's forces respond to the people's demands with bullets. Listen in.
राजौरी डोडा वहाँ के आवाम से हमारी अपील है कि इस तरफ राशन की किल्लत है, अद्वियात की किल्लत है और हमें आपकी मदद चाहिए, हमें सीज़फायर लाइन का खात्मा चाहिए और हमें आपकी हमायत चाहिए.
In another embarrassment for Pakistan, an iconic poem associated with the Indian independence struggle was recited by the protesters. Instead of holding negotiations, Asim Munir's forces resorted to the use of brute force, with Pakistani rangers opening fire and tear gas near Neelam Bridge in Muzaffarabad. At least one person was killed, whereas 10 others were injured. Similarly, force was used on innocent civilians in Mirpur's Dadyal area as well. Amid this, JAAC has issued a fresh ultimatum now. It has asked the Pakistani government to accept its demands by the 8th of July, failing which it will announce the next course of action on the 9th of July. Remember that POK residents have been without internet as well since a month now. Meanwhile, Pakistan continues to face global criticism over its handling of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir protests. A day earlier, thousands of Kashmiris living in the UK participated in the London Kashmir Million March. They marched from the Parliament Square to the Pakistani High Commission to protest against human rights violations in POK and demanded the release of detained political activists. Demonstrators waved flags, chanted pro-freedom slogans and condemned the arrest of JAAC leader Shaukat Nawaz Mir. Now, the uproar over the situation in POK also spread to New Zealand. Members of the Kashmiri diaspora staged a protest against the Pakistani government and the Munir-led army in Auckland. While Pakistan is desperately trying to project normalcy in POK, remember the ground reality is stark, with a clear attempt to crush the spirit of the protesters. With the people showing defiance, it now remains to be seen what their next course of action will be. All right, this is our GRAVITAS special. Pakistan's military is widely perceived to be a state within a state. With no prime minister having completed his 5-year tenure, the military has directly ruled the country for over 3 decades now. Now, a new report throws light on how the Pakistani army has a stranglehold on the country's economy while the people suffer. Contrary to assumptions, its influence is not restricted to foreign policy and national security alone. Now, what makes it larger than life is its deeply entrenched role in Pakistan's economy. As per the report by Stringer Asia, Pakistan's military is the country's largest industrial conglomerate with billions of dollars in turnover. Its commercial interests permeate every strategic sector of the economy. Millions of people are dependent on its patronage network. Even as Pakistani citizens are often told to adopt austerity measures, the army continues to profit. At the center of this empire stands the Fauji Foundation, which was founded by Field Marshal Ayub Khan in 1954 as a welfare organization for veterans and military families. However, the report revealed that it soon transformed into a conglomerate. It produces everything from steel, consumer goods, pharmaceuticals, to cement and cereals. It dominates Pakistan's fertilizer production with a major share of the national urea output. In fact, it also owns clinics, hospitals, schools, as well as universities. And this is not all. In December of 2025, it signed a letter of intent with Binance, which is the world's largest crypto exchange for cooperation in blockchain, cryptocurrency, and digital payments. Barely a few weeks later, the Pakistani government signed an MOU with a company linked to the Trump family-associated crypto venture, World Liberty Financial. Now, earlier, remember, the UAE acquired a stake worth $1 billion in Fauji Foundation in exchange for settling part of Pakistan's liabilities. Concerns have also been exposed over the Pakistani military taking over thousands of acres of land across Pakistan for corporate farming under the garb of development. The report also exposed how the Pakistani army acquired state land on favorable terms, created gated societies, and sold it to elite sections of the society for huge profits. At a time when the Asim Munir-led army is grabbing more power by the day, Pakistan's citizens continue to suffer. According to a report released by the country's Civil Services Academy, a staggering 25 million children remain out of school. This is the second largest out-of-school population globally. Child labor and economic pressure are some of the key factors behind this. For instance, Sindh does not have enough secondary schools. Owing to this, close to 54% of the children quit education after completing primary school. In case of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it accounts for 4.9 million or 19% of the country's overall out-of-school children. Attendance is a big challenge for the children of Balochistan as well, with many having to travel around 30 kilometers to reach primary schools and up to 360 kilometers for secondary education. While Pakistan is trying hard to brandish its diplomatic credentials on the global stage, democracy in the country remains elusive and citizens continue to pay a price as the Munir-led military grows all-powerful. All right, shifting our focus now to India as the controversy over the alleged embezzlement of donations at India's Ram Temple continues to escalate. The resignations of Trust General Secretary Champat Rai and the trustee Anil Mishra have now been accepted. The trust says it has accepted both of their resignations on moral grounds for a fair investigation. The trust has also decided to remove Gopal Nagarkatte from the list of special invitees. Now, the Temple Trust convened a meeting to discuss this issue. The high-level meeting was chaired by the Trust President, Nritya Gopal Das, and attended by the Treasurer, Govind Dev Giri, Temple trustees, as well as the senior officials from the district administration and the central government representatives.
के अनुसार इस न्यास के बने हुए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन संविधान के अनुसार त्यागपत्र देते ही वह स्वीकृत माना जाता है और इसलिए हम लोगों के पास अन्य कोई चारा ही नहीं था। उन्होंने स्वयं इस बात को हमें मूल क्लॉजेस को पढ़ करके दिखा करके समझाया कि यू हैव गॉट नो चॉइस। जब ये त्यागपत्र दे दिया है तो आपको उसको स्वीकार करना अस्वीकार करना ये बात आपके हाथ में नहीं है। अब उसको हम लोगों को मान ही लेना चाहिए। ऐसी स्थिति में और हम लोगों ने उसका स्वीकार भी कर लिया।
Now, the Temple Trust has made it clear that wrongdoing at the sanctum of Ram Lalla will be unacceptable and that the harshest punishment should be given to those who are guilty. The Trust says that it believes that the truth will be revealed after the completion of the legal investigation process, and until then, it is inappropriate to place blame on any one person. Police investigations into the alleged donation theft are moving forward, with court permission granted to question several accused currently lodged in jail. Moving on now, as NATO leaders meet in Ankara under the shadow of the Russia-Ukraine war and anti-NATO protests outside the summit venue, a Swedish island is preparing for the possibility of a future NATO war with Russia. Our next report tells you all the details. Take a look.
Security has been tightened across Ankara as leaders from NATO's 32 member states, along with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump, gather for the summit amid continued pressure from Washington on European allies to increase defense spending. Turkish authorities detained more than 100 protesters after an anti-NATO march organized by the Communist Party of Turkiye. Demonstrators demanded Turkiye's withdrawal from NATO, claiming the alliance diverts essential public funds away from essential social services into the arms industry. NATO leaders are reportedly expected to reaffirm an ironclad commitment to collective defense under Article 5. That mandates an armed attack against one member state is considered an attack against all members.
Here in Ankara, I expect nations to present clear, concrete and credible plans to reach that 5% goal. And the evidence we see so far is impressive. Just 1 year into a 10-year project, we see that European allies and Canada are already investing around 4% of their GDP in defense and security.
One place that reflects NATO's changing priorities is Sweden's largest island, Gotland, fully surrounded by the Baltic Sea. Home to nearly 61,000 people, the island lies just 275 kilometers from Russia's heavily militarized Kaliningrad exclave and around 90 kilometers from the Swedish mainland. Positioned at the heart of what is often described as NATO's Baltic stronghold, Gotland occupies one of the alliance's most strategically significant locations. During the Cold War, Gotland hosted 4 regiments and could mobilize around 25,000 troops. But Sweden shut its last permanent regiment in 2005, leaving only a small home guard presence. And now Stockholm is reviving regiments amid growing concerns over Russian military activity. Since the Russia-Ukraine war and Sweden's entry into NATO, the military build-up has reportedly accelerated at an unprecedented pace, with hundreds of conscripts now serving 15 months of compulsory military service on the island. Sweden's defense planners believe control of Gotland would allow whoever holds it to influence both air and naval operations across the Baltic Sea and secure or even threaten the reinforcement routes to the Baltic states. A Russian capture of the island would provide Moscow with a powerful military foothold in the Baltic, complicating NATO's ability to reinforce its eastern members like Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Sweden's 2025-2030 defense strategy identifies a surprise Russian attack on Gotland by air or sea as one of its highest priority military scenarios. The island has now become a regular venue for NATO military exercises since Sweden joined the alliance, while Stockholm expands conscription and increases defense spending. What was once known mainly as a peaceful holiday destination has become one of NATO's most important strategic outposts, highlighting how the Russia-Ukraine war is reshaping military planning far beyond the battlefield. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Could Israel be preparing to use Lebanon's Christian border villages as a new bargaining chip in the high-stakes talks with US President Donald Trump? Well, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has claimed that some Christian villages in Lebanon have asked to be annexed by Israel in exchange for protection from Hezbollah. During an interview with Fox News, Netanyahu said that Israel protects Christian communities in the region and claimed that some villages wanted to come under Israeli control. Take a listen.
We have many friends, and I have to tell you, we also take care of our friends, especially the Christians in the Middle East. The Christian villages in Lebanon, some of them have actually asked to be annexed to Israel because we protect them against the Hezbollah fanatics who want to kill them.
However, Netanyahu did not identify the villages or provide any evidence to support his claim. Lebanese officials quickly dismissed the statement. According to local media reports, the mayor of a Christian town in southern Lebanon described Netanyahu's claim as completely false and said that annexation by Israel was never an option. The Israeli Prime Minister's comments, remember, come as a report by Axis claims that Netanyahu could travel to the White House as early as this week for talks with Donald Trump. At the same time, the security situation along the Israel-Lebanon border remains volatile. Lebanese state media reported that an Israeli drone strike in southern Lebanon killed 4 people, despite the fragile ceasefire. Israel said that it also targeted a Hezbollah cell that posed a threat to its forces near the security zone. As military operations continue and tensions remain high, fears are growing that the ceasefire could completely collapse and that the conflict could escalate once again, especially once Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's funeral processions conclude. Mass funerals continue to be held in southern Lebanon for Hezbollah members who were killed in the latest fighting. Our correspondent Gadi Francis attended one such funeral where local officials said that the ceasefire has brought little sense of security, and in fact they warned that the conflict could reignite at any time. Take a look.
There has been a ceasefire in place. The United States have sponsored a kind of agreement or a deal between Lebanon and Israel. How did you read that, and did this give you a sense of security or a sense of safety?
Till now, there is no sense of security or safety. You can hear they are still bombing beside us. The Iranian one is more better because they are saying about moving all the Israelis from the Lebanese land at least.
This is now, it's the time between ceasefire and ceasefire. The aggression is still there, and every day could be the last day before a new round of war reignites. This is the status quo in the towns of South Lebanon, but regardless of all these dangers, as you can see around me, hundreds of people gather every day to say the last goodbye.
With that, let's tell you what is coming up on the other side of Gravitas. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Jakarta. All eyes will be on whether the two nations will seal the deal on the crucial Malacca Strait. And massive prison clashes in Sri Lanka have led to at least 27 inmates getting killed. This is something that has rarely been seen in the island nation. We get you all the details on it. With a focus on the Indo-Pacific region, Prime Minister Narendra Modi kick-started his three-nation tour from Indonesia today, from defense cooperation to critical minerals. This visit is set to add impetus to the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. We get you more on this in our next report. Take a look.
As part of his three-nation tour, PM Narendra Modi landed in Jakarta. Signaling the close bilateral ties, he was welcomed at the airport by Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto. Fighter jets from Indonesian Air Force accompanied the PM's plane from the time the PM entered its airspace. He was also received by 4 other ministers, including the Foreign Minister. This marks Prime Minister Modi's first visit since 2018, when both countries elevated their bilateral ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership. It also caps a series of high-level engagements between New Delhi and Jakarta in the last 18 months. For instance, in January 2025, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto graced India's Republic Day celebrations as the chief guest. On reaching his hotel in Jakarta, PM Modi was warmly greeted by members of the Indian diaspora who chanted slogans like Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Earlier, India's envoy to Indonesia highlighted the possible new areas of cooperation which can be finalized during the PM's visit.
Prime Minister Modi's visit will further intensify those ties and build cooperation in many areas and open up new areas of cooperation, whether it is in manufacturing, whether it is in science and technology, space, nuclear, or even educational exchanges. So it's a multifaceted relationship, and I think in the current geopolitical context where there is so much of turmoil in the world, India and Indonesia working together, I think, gives a strong message to the world.
Why is this so vital? Indonesia is India's second largest trading partner in the ASEAN region. Bilateral trade has increased from $4.3 billion in 2005-2006 to $28.15 billion in 2024-25. While India is the second largest buyer of coal and largest buyer of crude palm oil from Indonesia, Jakarta imports refined petroleum products, vehicles, steel products and plastics from New Delhi. The defense ties are also in focus, with Indonesia's potential procurement of the BrahMos missile weighing in on this. India's Ministry of External Affairs admitted that discussions are at a preparatory stage. Jointly developed with Russia, BrahMos is India's deadliest supersonic cruise missile with a range of 290 kilometers. It can be launched from land, sea and air platforms while maintaining supersonic speed. Throughout its flight, it can carry conventional warheads of up to 200 kilograms. The visit also raises another possibility. Will India seek to patrol the Strait of Malacca, which caters to 1/4 of the global maritime trade? It is worth noting that India showed interest in joining the Malacca Straits Patrol last year. Launched in 2004, this initiative entails joint patrolling of the strait by Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore and Thailand. Navies of these countries engage in intelligence exchange and real-time information sharing, thereby enabling effective response to maritime threats. Now, why does this matter to India? 55% of India's trade passes through South China Sea and the Malacca Strait. Thus, cooperation in this region will enhance maritime awareness, support counter-piracy operations and strengthen ability to respond to natural disasters in the Bay of Bengal. Both countries are also likely to enhance cooperation on critical minerals. Take the case of nickel, for instance. Indonesia is the world's largest producer of nickel. India imports over 80% of its ferronickel, which is critical for steel production from Indonesia. Nickel is also crucial for lithium-ion batteries used in electric vehicles. During his visit, the PM will also visit the Prambanan Temple complex in Yogyakarta and interact with the Indian diaspora. It is amply clear that for India, stronger ties with Indonesia are also about reinforcing a stable, rules-based Indo-Pacific where maritime security remains a key concern. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Let's talk about China now. China has carried out a rare submarine-launched missile test in the Pacific Ocean, drawing concerns from countries across the region. The test has renewed concerns over China's growing military presence and expanding nuclear capabilities in the Pacific. China says one of its strategic nuclear submarines successfully launched a missile carrying a simulated training warhead into the Pacific Ocean on Monday. According to the Chinese Navy, the missile accurately hit its designated target area in the international waters, but Beijing says that the launch was part of its routine military training.
This was a routine military training activity, not directed at any specific country or target. Relevant countries were notified in advance, and the activity was in accordance with international law and convention. Related launch operations were conducted safely, in a standardized manner and professionally. It is hoped that relevant countries will not overinterpret this.
Now, the launch is significant because China, remember, has rarely conducted long-range submarine missile tests over the Pacific, making it an unusual public display of its military capabilities. Earlier, Papua New Guinea and New Zealand confirmed that they had been briefed by China about an upcoming missile launch. However, the exact landing area was not disclosed. Now, the rare show of military might by Beijing has drawn criticism from several countries, including Japan and Australia. As per Tokyo, such military trends by China, coupled with its lack of transparency, have now become a matter of serious concern. Coincidentally, it comes on the same day that Australia and Fiji signed a major defense treaty.
Conveyed our serious concerns regarding the intensification of China's military activities. From the perspective of the security of our country and the region, the government holds concerns over this recent missile launch. We will continue to take all possible measures for warning and surveillance activities while closely monitoring related developments.
Analysts say the missile launch highlights China's rapidly expanding military and nuclear program. According to the United States Department of Defense, China now possesses more than 500 operational nuclear warheads and could have over 1,000 by the end of the decade. The test has also revived concerns among Pacific Island nations, many of which, remember, still bear the legacy of nuclear weapons testing carried out in the region during the Cold War. Simultaneously, China and Russia have launched annual joint naval exercises off the Chinese coast, Qingdao. It is still unclear if the missile launch was part of the drills, but Kremlin has defended Beijing's move of test firing the strategic missile carrying a dummy warhead into the Pacific Ocean. Listen in to what they've said.
We believe that it is China's sovereign right to test its missiles and to develop its military capabilities. China poses no threat to any state in the region, nor to anyone in the world. And China is our great ally and partner, a strategic partner.
The funeral procession of Iran's late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is underway, and millions are on the streets. After lying in state for 2 days at Tehran's Grand Musalla religious complex, the body of Khamenei and his family members began their journey through the capital, accompanied by massive crowds of mourners. The funeral ceremony is being used by Iran to project resilience and unity after 5 weeks of war with Israel and the United States. They're also eager to tout the mass mobilization in support of the regime following the mass protests in January this year. Now, even as US President Donald Trump changed the end goal of this war repeatedly, the funeral is proving to be evidence of what America has been unable to achieve. For starters, a regime change. All the major figures of Iranian government were present at the site. Iran's Parliament Speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf, IRGC Commander Ahmad Vahidi, Quds Force Chief Ismail Khani, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, President Masoud Pezeshkian and the Chief Justice of Gholam, Hossein Mohseni, paid their final tributes to the late Supreme Leader. The leadership of Iran's so-called Axis of Resistance also paid their tribute to Ali Khamenei. These include Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah and the Houthis. Iran also used this opportunity to show that it remains part of the global community. Remember, not just Iran's own leaders, global representatives showed their solidarity as well. Countries like India, Russia, China, Turkiye have all sent their delegations. Even regional rivals like Saudi Arabia attended this funeral ceremony. The support for the late Supreme Leader has stunned President Donald Trump. Trump said that he was surprised to see Iranians crying at the funeral of Ali Khamenei, admitting that he believed that the people hated him, also calling them fake tears. When Israel and the US had launched this attack that killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, they appealed to the Iranian public to rise against the regime. No mass uprising took place during the war. But more than 4 months later, millions have taken to the streets to mourn their leader. Beyond the headlines of war on Israel's political landscape, there's another domestic problem unfolding for Israelis in the country. The issue now coming to the fore is of higher rentals and rising car insurance. And the reason is increasing crime. That's right. According to a study by Hashomer Hakadash, organized crime in Israel has emerged as one of the key reasons for the rise in cost of living for Israelis. The study, which is based on data from Israel's finance ministry, concludes that organized crime costs Israel 23 billion shekels, while per household, the cost borne is 8,000 shekels a year. The industries affected by organized crime syndicates are not limited to real estate and automobile. Remember, the agriculture sector is also reeling under the impact of extortion and threats. The study goes on to quantify this damage. For the real estate sector, protection rackets make up for 5% of a construction company's total budget in Israel. The increase in cost transfers onto consumers in the form of higher rent. Next comes the automobile sector. Theft, vandalism and increasing break-ins are the root cause of a 56% hike in car insurance premiums in Israel. When it comes to agriculture, farmers in Israel are no exception to extortion and threats of organized crime syndicates. This in turn, remember, has led to a rise in the price of fresh produce between the range of 90 to 93% in different parts of the country. For Israel, the cost of living crisis is not just a result of back-to-back wars that the country is involved in. It's further compounded by domestic crises such as rising organized crime gangs, which experts say points to a systemic failure of the Israeli parliament and the government. Analysts say it is beyond just being personal and domestic security. It is the driver behind cost crisis that has affected millions of Israelis and requires stringent crackdown to curb the economic ramifications. Disturbing scenes emerged from the Negombo prison in Sri Lanka today, where deadly riots have claimed at least 27 lives. More than 50 have also been injured, but the number, remember, continues to rise. Clashes between two separate groups of prison inmates escalated on the second day, with inmates getting involved in a brawl with prison security officials. The death toll, which is on the rise, includes both the prisoners as well as security personnel. The injured are receiving treatment at local health facilities. The police fired a round inside the prison complex to contain the situation, which only escalated in the last 24 hours. The latest unrest erupted hours earlier, despite authorities stating that the situation had been brought under control following Sunday's deadly clashes. The violence, remember, first broke out on Sunday afternoon when a confrontation erupted between remand prisoners and the convicted inmates serving prison sentences. Local authorities in Sri Lanka have strengthened security presence in and around the prison in Negombo. Investigating agencies are also leading a probe to determine the exact cause of this unrest, which currently remains unknown. The prison is in the location in the coastal city of Negombo, remember, which is under an hour away from the capital, Colombo. It houses more than 2,400 inmates. All right, shifting our focus, let's talk about weather here in India. Maharashtra is reeling under relentless monsoon fury after weeks of below normal rainfall. At least 13 people have lost their lives in rain-related incidents. Our next report tells you how heavy rainfall has brought India's financial capital to its knees.
Monsoon fury has hit Maharashtra hard. Torrential monsoon rains triggered severe floods, landslides and infrastructure collapse across the state, claiming at least 13 lives. An intense low-pressure system has dumped a month's worth of average rainfall in just 4 days.
Many places in Mumbai have received heavy to very heavy rains, with extremely heavy rains in isolated places and over Ghat regions, especially Pune district and Raigad. Palghar have also received extremely heavy rains. Lonavala has received the highest rain today, 670 mm. For the next 24 to 48 hours, we are again keeping red warning for Raigad, Ghat region of Pune district, Nashik and Palghar.
6 people were killed in a tragic 3-story chawl collapse in Mankhurd in Mumbai. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis expressed grief over the incident. He announced financial assistance of 5 lakh rupees for the kin of the victims. Traffic on the Pune to Mumbai carriageway of the Khopoli-Kusgaon missing link section of the Mumbai-Pune expressway was suspended after a landslide occurred near the exit of Tunnel 2. The section of the 7,000 crore rupee expressway caved in barely 9 weeks after its opening. This closure marks the first major monsoon test for one of Maharashtra's most ambitious infrastructure projects. Debris from a landslide in the Karjat-Lonavala Ghat section completely halted long-distance train services between Mumbai and Pune. Low visibility and aggressive crosswinds at Mumbai International Airport resulted in at least 17 flight cancellations and over 360 flight delays.
All 3 railway lines between Lonavala and Karjat, which were affected by the landslide, have been closed. Consequently, 16 trains that usually traverse these lines have had to be cancelled so far. These primarily include Mail Express and intercity trains connecting Mumbai and Pune. Additionally, the routes of approximately 9 trains have been diverted. Restoration work is proceeding in full swing and the necessary resources and personnel deployed, though heavy rains are causing some interruptions and challenges.
The coastal district of Palghar has been heavily inundated after a deluge of over 265 mm of rainfall in a single day. Low-lying towns were completely marooned. A continuous low-pressure active monsoon system pushed localized rivers cross danger marks, turning major streets, highways and railway networks into gushing waterways. India Weather Department has forecast that active heavy monsoon conditions will continue to lash Maharashtra until at least July 8th. Driven by a well-marked low-pressure area over the Bay of Bengal and a persistent offshore trough along the west coast, the state remains on high alert for extremely heavy downpours, strong winds and high tidal risks over the next 48 to 72 hours. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Marking His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama's 91st birthday today, the Tibetan Buddhist monks in exile offered special prayers at the Dorje Drak Monastery in Shimla in Himachal Pradesh. The Buddhist community and residents gathered early in the morning to participate in the religious rituals, dedicating the whole day to the long life and global message of the spiritual leader. Wishing him a long and healthy life, Prime Minister Narendra Modi offered His Holiness warm greetings. PM Modi called his message of peace and harmony a guiding force for people across the world. The annual event celebrating Dalai Lama's birthday is organized systematically every year by the Central Tibetan Administration, or the CTA, drawing followers worldwide. This year, his physical absence from the main public stage was a point of concern for many, given his age and health situation. Explaining the absence, his office stated that the Dalai Lama travelled to Delhi in early June this year to undergo a left knee replacement operation, which preceded his scheduled stay in the Ladakh region during the summertime. US President Donald Trump is finally getting involved in the FIFA World Cup, but not everyone is happy about it. Trump confirmed that he asked FIFA to review US forward Folarin Balogun's one-match suspension. The suspension reversal has stunned the football world and has many questioning if FIFA has crossed the line. Trump revealed that he spoke to FIFA over the issue. He said that FIFA made the right decision to suspend Balogun's ban, adding that it would have left a big stain on the tournament had it been implemented. In fact, the US president publicly spoke on the matter for the first time a short while back. Listen in.
You know, it's one thing to penalize somebody for the game, but how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet? It's very unfair. You can't do that. So, yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man who's highly respected, and by the way, whose level of respect has gone up tenfold. And he was good before this started, but you know, he really pushed it in this country. I'm the one that got them to do it.
Now, the US forward was sent off following a collision with the defender against Bosnia last week. No foul was initially called, but the video assistant referee recommended a review after determining that Balogun had stepped on the defender's ankle. After reviewing the incident, the referee issued a straight red card for serious foul play. Trump said that it wasn't a foul in the first place.
Saw the play, and I'm a person that loves sports and was a good athlete, and I understand sports really well, really well. And that wasn't a foul. That wasn't even an infraction. That was two guys running full speed that happened to crash into each other.
Now, FIFA's disciplinary committee said that it made the decision to suspend the ban in line with Article 27 of the FIFA disciplinary code that allows it to suspend red card bans as long as the offence is not related to match fixing. Balogun will be on a 1-year probationary period, meaning that the red card technically remains on his record. Now, the reversal of the suspension essentially means that Balogun will be able to face Belgium in the last 16 later today. And the Royal Belgian Football Association said that it was astonished by the decision. It also added that the federation is probing all potential options. It contradicts FIFA statutes governing red cards, which carry an automatic one-match ban. Belgium manager Rudi Garcia likened FIFA's decision to an April Fool's Day joke. UEFA also strongly criticized FIFA's decision, calling it unprecedented, incomprehensible, and unjustifiable. In fact, UEFA said that intervening to effectively cancel a suspension at a tournament crossed the red line. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas. As always, we will keep getting you analysis from across the world. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Bye-bye. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. More than 200,000 civilian homes have been destroyed. This looks like it used to be a toy for a little girl. Can't but wonder while I'm walking between all of this rubble, how many lives were destroyed, how many kids were traumatized, how many women lost their families. If this isn't a war crime, then what is? From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION World is One.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter. Because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world. A 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives. Expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. More than 200,000 civilian homes have been destroyed. This looks like it used to be a toy for a little girl. Can't but wonder while I'm walking between all of this rubble, how many lives were destroyed, how many kids were traumatized, how many women lost their families. If this isn't a war crime, then what is? From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION World is One.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter. Because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world. A 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One.
Vielleicht nur als Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying on with us. You're watching the latest coming in from around the world. I'm Molly Gambhir.